Allie, thanks so much for doing this. Really appreciate it. On Memorial Day weekend of all weekends, right? And
Yes.
tell me about your business. Tell me where you guys are located. Tell me your website address, your Instagram, all that good stuff.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's an honor. I always look forward to speaking about my business whenever I can.
Yes.
The name of my business is Weddings by Allie, LLC, and I am a full wedding planning service. We're in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, not too far from New Orleans, about an hour to drive. And you can find me on any social media at Weddings by Allie, ALLIE. And I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
Gotcha.
Snapchat, TikTok, you name it.
All
Hey,
right.
my TikTok's on fire right now. So
Awesome.
I'm really excited. Yeah.
Well, what do you do? Well, so what are you doing on TikTok with, like, are you doing planning stuff on TikTok?
Well, what I've been doing, and which has been received really well, is just short clips of some of my weddings, video clips,
Nice.
and they've been received pretty well. So I keep going, and can't wait to have some more weddings after this virus thing, so I
Yeah.
can start posting some more. Yes, and my website is Weddings by Allie, LLC.com.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks so much. All right. So, how long you been in business? What made you start doing this stuff?
Sure. I've been in business, gosh, more than 20 years.
Wow.
And yes, I started, believe it or not, after a unfortunate, bad divorce. And as a single mom, my children at the time were 2 and 4. It was a super challenging, rough time in my life. But I will say, when I look back, I'm really proud of myself that I stepped out on faith and started a business with nothing. And like I said, a 2 and a 4-year-old, so it was a real challenge. I had been doing weddings on the side, like as a hobby,
Yeah.
Piddling kind of. And then when my ex-husband and I split, I thought, well, now here's my opportunity to go for it.
Yeah.
And I found myself, looking for a job, thinking, okay, I was a stay-at-home mom. Now I'm a single mom. Now I got to go back to work. So I was driving around, putting applications in, and I saw a bridal shop. And I stopped dead in my tracks in the parking lot, sat there for about 15 minutes, nervous, and thought, should I do it? Should I go in and venture in? And I thought, what the heck? What could I lose? So I went in, I asked for the owner, I spoke to one of the managers, then I spoke to the owner. I was scared to death, Shane.
Oh, I bet.
But and I said, listen, I can coordinate weddings. I'm self-taught doing calligraphy, and I can sell invitations. And if you hire me today, I will split half my profits with you for the first year. And I was like, I can't even believe I said that. The owner said, you're hired.
Nice.
And look, I was like, I left the salon and I was shaking. I was like, what did I just do? What just happened? But you know what though? I stepped out on faith. That first year I did 30 weddings and I never looked back.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you. So it was a big leap of faith. Now, it wasn't smooth sailing
Of course.
from that point on. No.
Yeah.
I mean, I had struggles, and I was working at the bridal shop from Tuesday through Thursday, cleaning houses on Fridays,
Mhm.
trying to do weddings on Saturdays. and doing bridal shows on Sundays. And I did that for years
Yeah.
until I built up a reputation. And then at bridal shows, I couldn't afford to be involved with them. So I would ask the producer, hey, if I come and help you set up, if I come help you break down, would you allow me to greet brides at the door, pass out bags or whatever, swag? And they said, sure. So I started doing that too, because I wanted to get my face out into the public.
Yeah.
And that opened the door for me to start producing my own bridal shows.
Nice.
So that opened up. And then about 2004, I was inspired to start a school to teach others how to start their own wedding planning business. And people, all the vendors, all my friends were telling me, you're crazy. You're creating your own competition. Why are you doing that? But Shane, I had this deep down feeling in my gut that I should share this with other people, especially women who felt stuck in a rut,
Yeah.
stuck in a cubicle, maybe a single mom, maybe in a situation like I was in,
Yep.
because the wedding business is, especially wedding planning, it's a service industry. So you don't have to have a retail shop. You don't have to have inventory. You don't have to sell anything. It's a service. You don't have to have startup money. You just start working. And so I thought to myself, I'd really like to share this with other people. So I've taught now over 12,000 students. I'm sorry. I wish it was 12,000, 1,200.
Yeah, yeah. That's okay.
1,200. Maybe
That's
I
your
will.
goal in your head, right? It's 12,000. Boom.
Yeah. Well, with the COVID-19, I was forced to start teaching my school via Zoom.
Yeah.
And ding, 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 it hit me. Now I could reach a broader audience
Yeah.
because the classes were live in Baton Rouge. And a lot of people from Lake Charles, Houston, they wanted to take the class, but they were too far away.
Mm-hmm.
So now, one blessing that has come from this horrendous pandemic is I can now teach my class via Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's one thing that came from this unfortunate situation that I was like, wow, it made me think out of the box.
Yeah. Well, you're no longer limited to, just Baton Rouge or people flying in now, right? Like
Right.
you have an opportunity to do it across the world, really. I mean, technology is awesome because you could meet with anyone anywhere in the world
Sure.
and provide a class to anyone anywhere in the world, right?
Sure. And I prided the class on like hands-on training,
Mm-hmm.
but I was able to tweak it and evolve it so that I'm still adding value, and that they're understanding it without having to actually be physically there.
Yeah. Yeah. So how many are you still doing weddings right now? And like in general, right? Not because of, we know things are shut down a little bit right now, but are you still
Yes.
doing weddings and the educational thing?
Yes. Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, I was looking forward to a record-breaking spring.
Oh man.
And I know. I had 26 weddings on the books for April,
Wow.
May, and June. Yeah. And all of them um, either rescheduled or moved to 2021
Yeah.
and or the late fall,
Yeah.
which, I understand. And it was tough. And my heart broke for my brides
Oh yeah.
because what a challenge. And,
Oh yeah.
they take sometimes 2 years to plan their wedding.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden, who would have thought a pandemic was going to hit?
That's right. Yeah.
Baton Rouge, South Louisiana, we're used to hurricanes, floods, the weather,
Yeah.
and we know what to do after a big hurricane hits.
Yeah.
We don't know what to do with a pandemic.
I don't think anybody really does, honestly. I mean,
No,
it's a whole new game.
it is. It is. So fortunately, all those weddings moved, and then I do other things like um, we have this big outside concert in Baton Rouge that I'm a producer of. That got totally canceled,
Oh yeah.
and there were 6 of those events.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so there was some major events that got canceled altogether, and but I fortunately I told everyone I just feel like as far as the financial side, my money was not lost; it was delayed.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And then you and I talked earlier. You said you wrote a book, so tell me a little bit about the book.
Yes, I'm I'm so excited because it's taken forever. And you know, I'm not a writer, um, but I do feel like everyone has a book in them, you know? And this book, it's called Secret Confessions of a Wedding Planner. And it sounds spicy, but
Yeah.
it's more it's more of a guide for brides with really funny behind the scenes secrets. And, you know, some of them are a little spicy, but I wanted to give brides a guide from, you know, the second they get engaged all the way up until the day after the wedding of all the steps that they should take. And in between each chapter is just a funny story of something I've experienced over the past 20 years.
Yeah, that's a
So
great idea. Yeah.
yeah, it's you know, my editor sent me the second draft not too long ago, and I sat down and read it, and I was like, "Ooh, this is pretty good. I'm excited." Because I was
Awesome.
expecting it. Yeah, like I said, I'm not a writer, but thankfully I have such a wonderful editor, and she's pieced everything together to make it flow and to make it really understandable and easy to read. Uh,
Mhm.
but I'm excited to get it out there. We were launching it, I'm hoping in July. So I'm really
Nice.
excited.
All right. Good. Good. So for couples that are getting married, how do most of them contact you now? Are you getting most of them through referrals from other people? Do they just find you online through your social channels and then contact you? What is the normal process for you right now?
I there is Since I've been in business for more than 20 years, it's a lot of word of mouth,
Yeah.
past friends of brides. I've done families of that have 4 daughters, you know. Um, Thankfully, so
Yeah.
they've grafted me into their family. You know, I I love that fathers of the brides are my biggest skeptics, but when they see me do my work and at the reception I hand them that Maker's Mark and water, and they're like, "Allie, you were worth every penny." So uh, they'll tell their daughters, like the next daughters, they'll say, "Well, okay, you got engaged. I have one request. You better call Allie." So that's thankfully,
Yeah.
thank God. But also social media. Um, I get a lot from social media, and I get a lot from national websites like the Knot, Wedding Wire,
Yeah.
that type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just a combination of different things that,
Yes.
yeah. Um, So what happens when they contact you? Tell me about the process. Like, what is that? I contact you, I email you or call you. What do I have to go through?
Sure. So, most brides contact me via email, and I ask them a series of questions. Of course, the date, the venue, um, because depending on the venue, I can kind of tweak my services. A lot of Catholic churches have facilities coordinators. A
Yep.
lot of venues in the South have also facilities coordinators. But I do assure them that we won't step on each other's toes, but we work in harmony together. So I ask them a series of questions. Um, then what I'll do is I'll send them a list of my packages. and my fees. And I charge by the package. So I have 3 set packages, and they're very clear bullet point packages. And then they'll look at them and they'll say, oh, I like the second package. And then they'll say, but I may not need this service.
Yeah.
And then I'll work with them and say, okay, well, let's take that out. Maybe we could add something else in, or I'll take it out and adjust the price.
Yeah.
So I work with them. And then what's been so kind of unusual but beautiful in the same way, they'll hire me sight unseen. And it's awesome that sometimes I only meet them either via Zoom or at our first meeting,
Yeah.
So that's been really different, but very cool. And I love the fact that the brides are very educated and they recognize somebody that has a great reputation, such as myself.
Well, that's probably why they hire you sight unseen, is because they've either, they've talked to other people about you, they know your reputation. They're like, I'm just gonna, if she's available, I'm hiring her.
Yes. And reviews help too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so based on that, then let's say I hire you. What is the process after that?
So then I send them a contract and a couple of information sheets, and they can send that to me electronically, via email, snail mail, however they want.
Yeah.
I do require a deposit, so they could send that to me via Square, Venmo, Cash App, however they want.
Just,
Cold cash, whatever they want. There's so many different ways now. And then once we get the contract, we decide on our first consultation.
Gotcha.
And then we'll schedule that, and we'll either meet in person, or if they're out of state, we'll meet via Zoom or FaceTime, and then we start the process.
Yes. Do you have a team of people that help you with some of this stuff, or are you doing most of it?
Well, believe it or not, the school, I do have an extended, from the school, an association. So those that have graduated from the school, they can sign on to the association, and then I subcontract them to either help me at different weddings or events.
Nice.
So some events and some weddings are a lot more involved.
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Where we're bringing in tents and chandeliers and
it's crazy.
And yes. So in some cases, I might need a team of 6 people. So I will glean from my association, and I have about 25 active members.
Nice.
So, and I subcontract them. They're not employees per se, but I subcontract them.
And they follow your process. You've been trained by you. I mean, it's the same thing. Yeah.
Yes. And then I don't, I'm not a decorator. I am a planner. So I will also subcontract lighting experts, rental experts, decorators, people to drape chiffon. My forte is basically a personal assistant to the bride.
Yeah.
So I'm with her personally the day of the wedding, when she's getting her hair and makeup done.
Yeah.
I'm steaming the wedding gown, steaming the bridesmaids' dresses. I'm there with them, helping them get dressed, making sure they're on time. All the while, my team is setting up the reception for the ceremony. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and that's good use of your time, and because that's what they're paying for, and then good use of your team to go off and help you. You also said you did concert events too. Do you do the same thing with the concert events? Like you have a team of people to help you with that, or?
We do. We have, I'm trying to think, maybe about 4 people that come in. It was scheduled this spring every Friday night for six Fridays.
Yeah.
And it's the largest outside concert in Baton Rouge. So it can draw up to 5,000 people.
Yeah.
And we have a production company, sound company, a big band. We've got vendors that sell all kinds of food,
Yeah.
um, full bar. We have a VIP station for, of course, people that want to buy tickets to have good seats. And then we have an arts alley where people sell local products, um, art, all kinds of cool things, homemade honey, local honey, homemade candles, soaps, etc.
Yeah. 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 So it's a big production, basically.
Yeah, like a festival.
Yeah. Nice.
Mhm.
Um, okay, so a couple questions around for people getting married. So
Yeah,
these are some questions that I typically hear couples ask, and so I'd like to get your answers for them. So
sure.
one of them is, and this is like the fire round, so you know. All
Okay.
right,
Okay.
so what's the difference between a wedding planner and a wedding coordinator?
Sure. A wedding planner is involved from the get-go, from A to Z. Um, a wedding planner helps um, get the vendors, book the vendors. Um, the wedding planner is involved in every process, whereas the coordinator maybe can be hired even up to 3 months before the wedding and just concentrate on coordinating the day. Whereas the couple probably already has all their vendors chosen, the venues
Yeah,
chosen, etc.
got it. Good. So what are some good questions that a couple should ask a coordinator or a planner before they hire them?
Um, I think it's good to ask as many questions, number one, as possible.
Yeah.
Um, for referrals, if they're familiar with the venue or the ceremony site, um, if they've worked with specific vendors before, if they've already hired them, um, what their policies are, take a good look at their contracts, um, making sure there aren't any hidden costs. Um, I love a wedding planner who their contract is extremely crystal clear. No iffy gray matter.
Yeah.
So take a look at their contract, make sure you know exactly what you're getting, um, and ask, don't be afraid to ask a ton of questions. And if you're not sure,
Yeah.
ask them even to what will they be wearing the day of the wedding.
Oh, interesting. It's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah, because, one time we did a wedding here in the South and it's sticky, hot, humid in August.
Yeah.
And this was a formal event and a videographer came in khaki shorts and a polo.
Oh, yeah.
And I understand he was hot, but it was not a professional look. So it's okay to ask as many questions as possible.
Yeah. Good. How early in the process should I hire a planner or coordinator? I think you mentioned like a few months before, usually for a coordinator, but should I hire them earlier than that? Planner or coordinator?
I think the sweet spot for a planner is 2 years and maybe up until 18 months before. Um, it's good to get involved as much as possible as a planner. Um, and this way you can guide and direct them because a good wedding planner is supposed to steer couples from pitfalls,
Yep.
making mistakes, and to help save them money
Yep.
in the
Yep.
long run.
Yep. Good. Good. Any specific last advice you'd have for couples getting married?
Uh, you know, a couple of things. Number one, don't split the small stuff. Um,
Yeah.
try not to focus on, you know, oh my gosh, my roses came in a shade of pink instead of a shade of peach. You know, they're the only ones that are going to notice that.
Yep.
Okay, so it's hard to, um, tell them not to focus on just those little minute details because the overall picture and having fun and you know being married is the bigger picture,
Yeah.
right? And another piece of advice would be enjoy the planning process. And I always tell my brides too, remember, weddings are for everybody but the bride and groom. You have to think about your guests, and because they feel like they're being, circled around like a tornado.
Yeah.
And I understand that. Also, weddings have a way of bringing out the best in people and the worst in people. And they're
Totally.
not going to be, yes, and they're not going to be able to please everyone. So, great Aunt Mary might get ticked off about some decision you made. It's okay. Let it go.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I also tell my couples a good wedding planner should be a scapegoat, a diplomat, and an ambassador, and a referee. And a lot of times when a bride is scared to make a decision, I'll tell my brides, blame it on me. I don't have to live with these people the rest of my life.
Right.
You
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
So, well, that blonde wedding planner told me I had to do it this way. Tell them that.
It's good. That's very good. All right, so let's switch gears a little bit, talk about the business side of things.
Sure.
I'd say, as a business owner for the past couple of years, what would you say has been working well for you?
I think being genuine, um, playing to my strengths.
Yeah.
I know I'm a people person, so I play on that with my business as far as I get very bonded with my brides. So that's what I'm really proud for myself and my business. And we, I've kind of really done a lot of introspective work to see what do brides stress out about the most,
Hmm.
and how can I take that away and put the stress on me.
Yeah,
So that's what's worked best for us.
that's great. And then outside of what's happening today with COVID and everything, what would you say have been your
Sure.
biggest challenges over the past couple of years?
I've had great momentum. So I
But
so
there's
I've
got to be challenges and great momentum, right? Like, so, obviously you're where you are because of the challenges you went through and the struggles to get to where you are today.
sure.
That's always indicative of anybody that has been successful is the struggles they've gone through to get there. So there are probably, as a business owner, we always have challenges, whatever those are.
Sure.
And so what I'm trying to get to is, for you, what are the things, you're probably doing a lot of things that are working well for you, but what are some challenges that other business owners might, run into that they don't feel like they're the only ones going through this thing, right? That's kind of what I'm trying to get to with this.
Yeah. So I think with as far as like maybe advice to other business owners, um, uh, you know, work with professionals. And that would probably be because when I hear a bride say, "Oh, the DJ is going to be my cousin's best friend," that's not a professional. That's a red flag to me because I know that there might be problems
Mhm.
uh, if this person didn't have, any weddings under their belt. So that another thing too is I think over the years, brides are trying to create more of a production and adding more and more and more as far as more Pinterest items, bigger and better, and more grandiose.
Mhm.
Um, and sometimes I think the challenge is to hone it in that maybe less is better,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Um, that's been a challenge for
But,
me.
but what you like, that's great. Like, that's exactly one of the things I see happening too. But how does that play to like budgets? Because people, they'll see stuff online and they go, oh, I want to do this or that. But, in order to do this or that, it requires a significant investment. The budget may not be there to do that significant investment. So do you see that as a challenge too? Like, people come with those grand ideas and they're like, and it's just not in the budget to do it.
Yes. And, a bride doesn't like to say, a bride doesn't like to hear, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so I diplomatically tried to show them, say this arrangement costs $3,000 that you see in a Pinterest picture, um, but this is what your budget centerpiece looks like.
yeah,
And what we can do though is, if she's really set on that $3,000 centerpiece, we might can tweak the budget elsewhere
yeah,
where it's not as noticeable. You know, maybe we won't do favors, or maybe we won't get as big of a cake, or we'll cut costs in the lighting or
yeah,
something else. So what I do is I ask my brides, what's the most important thing to you in this wedding?
yeah. That's
And
good.
it's very funny because some will say, I want my dress to be the biggest wow. Or they'll say, I want to have the best top shelf alcohol in my bar, you know? And
It's,
so,
yeah,
yeah. And some will say, I want to have the most phenomenal pictures
yeah,
because that's what's going to last. So, and if they're on a budget, what we do is we put more money into that photographer and then try to shave off the rest.
yeah. No, that makes sense, and that's yeah. I mean, that's so true, right? People want so many different things, and there's and
Sure.
things that are important to them, or you know, I want the best food, and or whatever, right?
Right,
Whatever that is. Yeah, it's awesome.
right.
Yeah. So if you had to go back 5 years from today, what would you tell yourself then that you know now?
Number one, I would not call my business Weddings by Allie. Big mistake. Okay. I, listen, when I started this as a single mom, I literally jumped in head first, didn't think, you know, I had no business experience. I wasn't savvy, and I would not call my business Weddings by Allie.
Yeah.
It would
Yeah.
be a more general, events term.
Yeah.
That's number one. Um, Number two, I would say to myself, take more risks and charge more.
So what do you
Because
mean by taking more risk? Like, where would you take more risk?
um, I think I would, I think I would branch out more and travel more with my business, and not be so scared to think I couldn't do a wedding in Dallas,
Yeah.
or which I have done a wedding in Dallas. Let's say Los Angeles, Miami,
Yeah.
um, even in Cancun or abroad.
Sure.
I wish and I could still do it, but I would love to do more destination weddings in Europe, on islands
Hmm.
of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Hmm.
Um, so last question.
Sure.
What is your most inspirational, best or worst wedding story that you have for me?
The most inspirational was when a bride's father was in a wheelchair from, and unfortunately, I can't remember what the situation was, but I do remember that secretly he was working his muscles and his leg muscles specifically so he could walk her down the
Oh
aisle.
wow. Yeah.
Yes. And nobody knew about it. I didn't even know about it. And we wheeled him to the end of the aisle, and to everyone's awe, he got up from the wheelchair and stood up, and I got goosebumps even still
Wow.
thinking about it, and walked his daughter down the aisle. And I was just at the end of the aisle just sobbing. And I was like, that's the most beautiful, touching thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I've done weddings for so many years. You would think I'd be, you know, I wouldn't be sobbing and crying. I was just sobbing. There wasn't a dry eye in the church.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great story. I'd
Yes.
probably be crying too.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Allie, thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate your
Mm.
time today. Have a great rest of the weekend and enjoy the holiday.
Thank you so much. What an honor, Shane. I appreciate it.
Thank you.